What's up guys, Max here, and welcome back to Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 The Online Warrior Season 2, Episode 34. Kind of a monumental episode because, in the age of a fighting game, and when in consideration of the Online Warrior series where I like to cover happenings of events, happenings of how the game is improving and evolving and stuff like that, I think the word evolve works very well right now because we are on the brink of the biggest fighting game tournament of all time, EVO 2013. It's crazy, this will be the third EVO we've actually covered in the Online Warrior series for the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 series of videos. Even though we've gone from the vanilla version to Ultimate, it's kind of crazy to look at things in retrospect and be like, dude, we've covered 3 EVOs now, or about to cover a third EVO. That's pretty intense, and for any of you guys that have stuck with me ever since back in 2011 when I started the Online Warrior, thank you very much. So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about EVO and what it means for Marvel, some of my predictions as far as the characters we're going to see, some of the possible things that might happen during the tournament, and we'll take some bets. We'll take some bets and see who was right in the very end, and it'll be good to get a little bit of feedback to see who was right after everything's concluded. So I'm going to be gone for a little while. I'm going to be at EVO this year, if you guys don't know. As a bit of a precursor, I've gone to EVO, my gosh, man, for the past quite a few, almost since the 2007, maybe 2008 EVO. I've been consistently going to these things for a while now, and it's been a little scarce, like, before 07, but regardless, it's like a force of habit. When you think of, like, EVO, in my opinion, it's kind of like E3 is the video game Christmas, you know, it's just Santa comes and he gives you all these new video games and stuff like that. For me, EVO is the fighting game birthday. It's the wonderful, celebratory, once-in-a-year type of thing where everyone gets together and has this big, celebratory, grand-ass old time playing video games. So I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the atmosphere. It's just a huge celebration of what I love. And this year we'll also be doing another panel at EVO. We'll be doing an Assist Me for Ultimate Marvel 3 related panel and an Online Warrior panel, so I might be talking a little bit about things related to the Online Warrior series. So for a lot of you guys that have had questions about Assist Me, like the future of Assist Me, we'll be doing some sneak peeks at Assist Me for the season, or the third season that will be coming up. And for anybody that might have any concerns of the Online Warrior, how I do my selection of games, how I produce the episodes, I'll be gladly talking about that, and I'm fairly sure all this stuff will actually be streamed as well on the multiple streams that EVO will be providing. And this is gonna all be taking place on Friday at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I believe in one of the extra rooms that'll be available at EVO if you guys are going to be there. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk about freaking Marvel. So Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is in a really interesting state right now. That thing that I've been talking about, like, ever since, like, I think it must have been 2 months ago now, because there hasn't been that many UMVC3 episodes, just because I've been so busy, was like the state of decay that Marvel is in due to the higher level competition, and how the higher level competition ends up being a few people, and especially Chris G being so good with a specific team that it's kind of just annihilating everything, and the hype has died. What I find funny about this is that this isn't the first time something like this has happened to a game like Marvel. In Marvel vs. Capcom 2, for you guys that might not have remembered, Justin Wong dominated the holy god out of that game for several years. He was almost unbeatable. Like, if he was in a tournament, it was absolutely expected that Justin Wong was going to win for a very long time. Then certain guys like Sanford and Yipe started giving him really good fights way back in the day, and then he actually started losing finally. But if Justin actually lost, it was a huge thing, and people hated Justin Wong. It's funny because even now, as I know, like, Justin personally, and the perception I had of him way back in the day, this is like the mid-2000s when I was in college, was like, you know, everyone hated Justin. Like, he was the East Coast guy that was just so freaking good, and all you wanted to do was see him lose. And this is kind of the nature when it comes to all these fighting games. It's like, you see the same thing over and over again, and if it's consistently winning, it's gonna get boring after a while. So now Chris G's in this situation where the guy is so damn good at so many fighting games, and especially at Marvel, where he has an almost unbeatable strategy, it seems like. He's the guy with the biggest target on his head. Like, the person that is able to take down Chris G is the person that will instantly gain fighting game infamy in the fighting game community. Everyone will know who your name is, and this is absolutely true because there's a guy that took down Chris G in tournament with the stream setup and everything in place, and that was Senior Taxi earlier this year at one of the bigger tournaments. So for you guys that didn't get to catch some of the later tournaments that happened before EVO, the last big one was CEO, which is hosted by Alex Jabali in Florida. And of course, Chris G did take that one as well. So Marvel's in this state, man, where a lot of people are worried that if Chris G ends up winning Marvel at EVO, I keep reading this and I keep seeing it in comments, and it's just all over the place in stream chats and all this stuff that's the end of Marvel. That's it. It's freaking dead. There's no way it's coming back after that. And it's like, I don't know if that's exactly true, but I think that the not the price tag, but like the wanted sign that will be above Chris G's head is just going to get bigger and bigger. And there's even been articles saying, like, you know, even from Chris G talking about his performance in games like UMVC3, the reason people hate him is the same reason people hate the Yankees. You know, the Yankees win all the freaking time, and they've won so frequently that it's easy to hate them. And the amount of followers, it seems, of people that really like, you know, following something that wins all the time kind of gets outweighed by the extremely vocal minority of people that are just like, oh, screw this, we just see the same thing over and over again. So I can completely see where he is coming from. It's kind of the nature, and which is an interesting nature when it comes to fighting games. It's like, there's all this encouragement within the fighting game community to get better and better and better, and now Chris G has actually reached a pinnacle. He's reached the absolute top, the peak. And even at the peak, it's not all flowers, roses, and sunshine, is it? The guy's actually dealing with a lot of scrutiny and a lot of people that dislike his playstyle and dislike what he does because he's winning consistently in a lot of freaking games, and especially the one game that he's really noted for, which is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So it's an interesting parallax between, like, you know, this fighting game infamy that everyone seems to look for when they go to tournaments to beat these big guys, is that if you end up developing, you know, a habit of winning all the time, and you're constantly the guy that's going to be in top place and seen everywhere, and you use a strategy that's really good but might not be favorable, well, you might be under the knife by a lot of the community as a result of it. It's interesting. I find it really crazy how the fighting game scene has, like, changed so much since way back in the day. And it's now because there's so many more people. It's a much wider, broader audience. And now, a lot of the times, if you want to get, like, really known, you beat one of these big players and do it with a team that isn't really well known. And oh my gosh, like I've said before, you will be so popular so fast. So let's talk about some of this stuff that is well known. I think some of the things that everyone knows is going to happen at EVO is some of the stuff that we see a lot, which is going to be probably a lot of Zero. I can guarantee you a lot of Virgil, and I can absolutely double dog dipper mother fifer guarantee you it's going to be a hell of a lot of Dr. Freakin' Doom. These three characters are going to dominate the majority of the EVO standings as we see it, because they are so damn good, and I don't need to explain it to you guys. You already understand why they're good. We've done so many episodes explaining how they they don't really break Marvel, but they make Marvel what it is, and if you take those characters out, it's a completely different fighting game. Now, what's interesting is that if we get any of these people to show up with a surprise team like T.A. Fruitsy did last year's EVO, then we're going to have a chance. And I actually think that that is a possibility this year. What happened was an interesting evolution with Ultimate Marvel 3 in the first year of its life cycle was the complete dominating presence of a character that everybody thought was amazing, which was Wesker, and the de-evolution of that character because he's actually kind of predictable, and since so many people use Wesker, he became increasingly more effective to fight against. Or more effective for you to fight against that character because you see him more often, you know what I mean? You know what he's going to do, you know what he's going to go for, you know the command grab setups and things like that. Because you saw it so often, so a lot of people gravitated away towards Wesker. The thing towards Dr. Doom and Virgil is that their playstyles can be so safe, and their playstyles can be so effective as a result that you can kind of change the way you play Virgil and the way you play Dr. Doom, and no matter what you do, it's still going to be really good through and throughout. So I think those two specific characters aren't going to go anywhere. What I don't think we're actually going to see is a huge influx of Morrigan. Now, this seems like, well, of course we should, because Chris G is so good with Morrigan. I think that the fact that that team is so effective, like, you know, Morrigan, Virgil, and Dr. Doom together, isn't just the fact that they're really good, it's hard to deal with, it doesn't seem to be a counter with it in the game. No, I think it's that Chris G is that good with that team. And we just need to get an effective player that is as good with another team that has somewhat of a strategy around it that people will eventually figure out. And to be honest, the time to expose that technology, the time for that to shine is at EVO. Like, if you want your technology to be shown, and you're practicing, you're dedicating all this time into beating a specific strategy, my god, man, this is the time to let it happen. This is the time when, like, crazy things like roll canceling was discovered, and was revealed at huge tournaments like at Super Battle Opera, which was like practically the quote-unquote EVO of Japan back in the day. This is when like insane things like that are discovered and shown, and then blasted to the world through the internet, every single social media aspect. That's what I really want to happen at EVO. I want to see something absolutely freaking crazy that is a counter strategy, and I think we could possibly see that. That's actually what I really hope to see. But like I said, I don't think we're actually going to see a lot of Morrigan at EVO. I think there will be a lot of people trying to use her, but they just will not use that team as effectively as Chris G does, because he's been doing it for so damn long. And I see a lot of high-level tournament players trying to make the switch, trying to put Morrigan in their team that might not have had them frequently as much before. So it'll be an interesting transition. What I do wish would happen is this: I wish guys like Kane Blue River would get as far into top 8 as possible. He runs a very risky team, he runs a very effective team, but in all honesty, I don't want to fight against Kane Blue River's team anytime soon. It looks like the most terrifying thing to fight against because it makes you look dumb. Like, that's the thing that's scary. You fight against Kane Blue River and he shuts down so much of your offense, it literally makes you look stupid. Which is why I find it really entertaining. It's really, really, really entertaining to watch this guy's team, which is, if you guys don't know, his name's Kane Blue River. He runs Hulk on point, Hagar second, and Sentinel third, I believe. And this team just wrecks things. Like, if you're not ready for it, and if you're not ready for what his strategy is, dude, you're gonna have a hell of a time dealing with a Red Hulk up your ass throughout the entire duration of those matches. It's impressive. It's just really cool to see somebody do something so well with a team that is so infrequently played. And I talked a lot about Kane. He's like my inspiration for the competitive life of Marvel, besides like this crazy list of top tier characters to just dominate throughout this point forward. I think he's like riding the dream. He's like keeping the dream alive. He's not the freaking evil bad guy from the end of Marvel vs. Capcom 1 saying the dream is dead. No, he's gonna keep it going. And that's what I really hope for. I really hope for Kane to make it into top 8 at EVO this year, but we are going to see a lot of Virgil. You are going to see a lot of Magneto, but I do not think that you're going to see a lot of Morrigan. And I have a funny feeling that the top 8 of EVO is definitely going to consist of Filipino Champ. I have a funny feeling that Neo is going to be in there, Chris G. I have another funny feeling that Kane Blue River's going to make it. I think this might be his real big time to shine. We're going to get a no-name in there, and I also think we're definitely going to get a Japanese player in there as well. I'm not thinking of everybody's name, like, off the top of my head right now, but those are the few that kind of stick out to me at the moment. Yeah, I haven't made a list or anything, this is just based off the thoughts I'm having right now, but those guys, I think, definitely have a pretty big chance of making it in there, and they're very powerful right now. I'd also say Flocker, because he's one of the only consistent Zero players to place top at so many tournaments, and the guy actually won a major with Zero, which is actually has never happened before, ever since the original Vanilla. So that's another thing to take into consideration. Zero is one of those characters that does really well, and then for some reason doesn't win tournaments all the time because he's so execution heavy. It's going to be interesting, guys. Stay tuned. EVO is this weekend. It starts on Friday this week and will go until Sunday. And I think Marvel is being streamed awful lot, like almost way too much than it even should be. And the final day will be the finals. I think it takes place at like maybe around 5 o'clock or so. You can check on Evolution 2013, just do a Google search on it. You can find the site, and the entire stream list is up. And that'll just about do it for me leading up to EVO. I will be competing myself, however, I am ridiculously out of practice. I'm focusing a lot on getting stuff ready for this panel. And it's kind of the nature of last year, and I had to ditch competing last year to work on the panel and things like that. But I'm doing it this year. The panel is not the same day as my pools. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get bopped so freaking hard, but it's okay. I really just want to compete for the sake of competing. And I appreciate your guys' support. If anything, I really do appreciate you asking me to compete, get in there, get and play some games, getting the competitive nature back, because I think it's important to keep that spirit. To keep that spirit alive, to just find new competition and enjoy something with other people in a fighting game. So thank you guys very much for watching. Hopefully the footage was adequate. I haven't had that much a chance, like I said, to play Marvel 3, and this is kind of my leftover footage from the last play session. And I really wanted to talk about EVO this year, because it's important, man. This is going to be a new era of Ultimate Marvel 3 post-EVO, in my opinion. And for you guys that are big fans of Assist Me and looking forward to more, stay tuned. Bunch of stuff about Assist Me coming out at EVO, as well as the very first officially produced Online Warrior production shirt in association with Assist Me. That's right, the Doomecky shirt is finally available. I can't believe it. I've been working so long to make this like a possibility. And 86clothing.com was more than willing to help out with this. They saw, I saw what they were doing with, Salty Cupcakes and the really high-quality shirts that they were doing with Skullgirls on the Salty Cupcake stream, and they really, really liked the designs of some of the stuff we had in mind, so Doomecky's is the first printed run shirt for Online Warrior and Assist Me, and it looks pretty freaking cool. Check it out in the link in the description below, and you can see it on screen right now. But until next week, guys, we'll be back with my top hype moments like I do every single year at EVO 2013. And of course, we'll be talking a bunch about those Marvel Grand Finals. My name is Max. I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next week.
Owner of a Doomecky's t-shirt! Oh my god! Available exclusively at 86clothing.com. You can own the very first Assist Me Online Warrior Productions t-shirt. For the low price of $19.95, the Doomecky's t-shirt will increase your fighting game potential by 600%. That's 599% more than usual!
Doomecky's t-shirt will not increase fighting game potential by any exponential amount. Also does not include Benny. T-shirt may also taste of raw-ass bud.
Oh, this tastes like bud. Raw-ass bud.
Visit 86 Clothing today or follow the link in the description. And if you need more convincing, here's a message from our #1 customer and most popular fighting game character of all time.
He runs a country, but still prefers the title of Doctor. He got a PhD from the University of Phoenix because he schooled that bitch for free. All matchups are 9-1 in Doom's favor, even versus himself. He is the most interesting villain in the world. I don't always use X Factor, but when I do, I prefer the finger lasers. Stay salty, my friend.